Okay, so first off, I want to apologize for how hot it is in here. But I also want to welcome everyone and thank you for coming. As you may know, this is the Roosevelt Institute, an Illinois campaign for political reforms event, Who Writes the Rules Matters, How to Make an Impact Through Civic Engagement. A little bit about the Roosevelt Institute. The Roosevelt Institute is a progressive American think tank that exists to carry forward the legacy of Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt by developing progressive ideas and bold leadership in the service of restoring America's promise for opportunity to all. I am currently working with the Roosevelt Institute to start a chapter on UIC's campus next year. My hope is that this event will inspire students like you to join in the Roosevelt's goal of getting young people interested in the legislative process, because who writes the rules truly does matter. That's why we're here today with students and 8 legislators to bring together all of us at a table discussion to discuss structural and practical barriers to democratic access for young people. As I mentioned earlier, the Roosevelt Institute teamed up with Illinois Campaign for Political Reform. Here with us today is Ms. Sarah Broom, the Executive Director.
Okay, on behalf of ICPR, I'm Sarah, and our board chair, Susan, is here as well. We just want to say thank you all so much for coming. Thanks to Claudia for all the hard work she did to kind of get the word out to all of you who are here. And we want to thank the Roosevelt Institute for partnering, for UIC for hosting us, and then for our legislators for being in attendance to take the time out of their schedules to talk to you guys. I was actually shocked. I just kept getting the yes RSVPs pouring in from them. I think they're just really excited to talk to you. Maybe excited to get out of Springfield for a minute. It's super fun there for them. We want to thank Dick Stinson as well for bringing some of his students to join us, and Sean Healy and the McCormick Foundation for always encouraging these types of events. And I want to thank you guys for showing up, ready to talk about civic engagement, talk about some of the issues facing our state. I know that you guys are intelligent and thoughtful and really prepared to discuss these topics. ICPR is a nonprofit. We're nonpartisan. We advocate participation in the political process, civic engagement, and transparency and accountability in government. So we do that a few different ways. One is through free events like this. We also provide nonpartisan research for anyone who joins our email list and for reporters. And we also have a couple online civic engagement tools, one where you can see all the campaign finance spending and donations in the state. So those are all free and open to the public. You can visit our website, ilcampaign.org, if you want to learn a little bit more about us. Don't forget to tweet, hashtag Who Writes the Rules Matters. That's on your programs at your tables, at Roosevelt Institute and IL Campaign, and those are on your programs as well. Representative Mitchell, Christian Mitchell, will be joining us as well in about 20 minutes, so he might come up here during intros. Otherwise, he has a table up front here, and he'll be here for the first discussion. So Claudia, if you want to continue.
So, we have 8 legislators on our panel today who will each tell you a little bit about themselves before we begin the collaborative part of our workshop. After we hear from each of them, we will break into small group discussions at these round tables where you'll get to ask questions about their job, the issues we all care about, and how to improve the state of Illinois. To ask the questions, we have Kevin Cow, a current UIC student who is also working at the Roosevelt Institute.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good morning. Thank you so much for attending the event. The senators and representatives from Springfield. It's good to have you in Chicago. I'd ask you to please keep your responses to a few minutes so we can get to our collaborative workshop portion of our agenda. But here are a few questions. First, introduce yourselves. So I'll start off with the person that's closest to me, Senator Aquino. Would you please start us off by telling us your name, your district, the committees you serve on, and along with that, what issues are you most passionate about and the greatest challenge during your time as a state legislator?
My name is Omar Aquino. I'm the state senator in the 2nd district, which I'm trying to project.
Okay.
I represent the 2nd district, which mostly encompasses the northwest side of the city of Chicago, communities of Edmosa, Belmont Cragen, Humble Park, Ukrainian Village, Globe Square, some others as well. The committees I serve on, this is my first term in office. I chose to ask to be on a lot of committees. I wanted to get very involved, and so I was actually given 7 committees to serve on. There are 2 appropriation committees in the Senate: Education, Human Services, Telecommunications and IT, License Activities and Pensions, and I'm missing one right now. And labor. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Or cheat sheet. Yeah, excellent. Too many to remember at sometimes, but what I'm most passionate about is making sure that people in the community have a voice and feel that they have a voice, and so true representation. I think our democratic process is one of the greatest things. We get to hire and fire the people that represent us at all levels, be it at the local, the state, and federal level. Sometimes we're not happy with those decisions, but that's how we the making of what the type of government we have. Specific issues. These are a lot of the issues that I'm quite passionate about. Education is one of my biggest driver of true public education is big for me. I went to Chicago Public Schools from pre-K all the way until I graduated from high school, so education is a big one for me. The proudest moment, I've been in office since July 1st of last year, so I haven't been there for too long, but I'd say probably, let's try this one more time. Some of the proudest moments for me is when I get to go to a lot of the elementary schools, high schools, and so forth, and see young people that really want to get involved, and even if they can vote or not vote and whatnot, they want to intern in my office or whatnot, and so I'd say trying to get more young people involved in the process and being able to facilitate that has been some of the most proudest work that I've been able to do in my young career. So.
Thank you very much. We're really happy to have you here. Senator Cunningham, I'm going to rephrase these questions again just so we get everyone to know these questions. Senator Cunningham, would you again please start us off by telling us your name, your district, and the committees that you serve on? Another question is, what issues are you most passionate about in your work as a legislator? And please tell us your proudest moments and your greatest challenges as your work down in Springfield.
Okay, thanks. State Senator Bill Cunningham. I represent a district that covers parts of the southwest side of the city and the southwest suburbs. Most importantly for this forum, I am a graduate of the University of Illinois at Chicago many years ago. However, Professor Simpson I did have for, I think, 2 or 3 different classes. So if I mess anything up at Springfield, you know who to blame. But I, like you, was at your age, was very interested in politics and government, started getting involved at about your age, volunteering on campaigns, and have really been involved in public service, politics, in government on one level or another ever since I was a student here at UIC, and this campus, this institution really gave me a great baseline to start from. One of the great things about this campus is being in the middle of the city. And I was here in the late 80s, which is a pretty tumultuous time politically in Chicago. And I learned about it not only in the classroom, but by getting involved in the political process when I wasn't at school. And that's a great opportunity that all of you guys have that I really encourage you to take advantage of. Senator Aquino, I think as far as committee assignments, mentioned a good thing. It's one of the things I've tried to do is switch committees from time to time, because it's the best way really to learn a lot about state government while you're in Springfield. So I'm on a couple of, this is my 5th year in the Senate, so I chose a couple of new committees to get involved in. One is agriculture. So, I live on the south side of Chicago, represent a city and suburban district. There's a couple of farms in my district, way out in unincorporated Orland Park. But I think agriculture is a really important industry in our state, so I tried to get on the agriculture committee and did. Again, it's an opportunity to learn about what a big state we have and how diverse it is and how many different problems we have to solve. As far as what I'm passionate about, what I'm proudest of, they're kind of one and the same. I think that maybe too many state legislators and federal legislators and Congress too maybe focus too much on the legislation they sponsor and develop, or parents on a television show or a speech they give in the Capitol. I think the most important thing we do as representatives and senators is provide constituent services to the people we represent. That's what they expect from us. So I'm most proud about cutting through red tape. I've had a constituent I've been working for months now who, it's kind of a long story, but elderly individual with a number of medical problems, who had some home health care that he was receiving at his home canceled because he has a life insurance policy that when he dies will pay his wife $50,000. There was, the state decided that was too big of an asset, cut off some of his home care. Very difficult for him and not really smart from a public policy standpoint, because without that home health care, he's just going to go into a nursing home and it'll cost the state more money in the long run. So I worked with 3 different government agencies trying to cut through the red tape in order to solve that problem, and we succeeded. And those are the things I'm most proud of, and I think those are the things that the most effective representatives and senators really focus on more than anything else. Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming out. Really appreciate it. Just a quick reminder, we ask you to keep the responses to a few minutes. We can really get to engage with the students later in the portion. Next, we have Representative Fortner. Thank you for coming today. Would you also please start us off by telling your name, district, committees, and the same questions. What are you most passionate about? What are your proudest moments and your greatest challenge during your time?
Thank you for having me here. My name is Mike Fortner, and if you get on Roosevelt Road and go about 30 miles due west, you'll find yourself in the heart of the 49th district that I represent. I was first elected to the legislature in 2006, so this is the beginning of my 6th term as a member of the Illinois House. I'm currently serving cities and villages, economic opportunity, elections, cybersecurity, and tollway oversight. Those 5 committees is what we call the Republican spokesperson. It's what you may have heard the phrase if you've listened to C-SPAN and Congress, they call the ranking member. I also serve on the energy, healthcare licensing, and higher ed appropriations committees. I'm a retired physics professor from Northern Illinois University. Served 28 years there, and so it probably goes without saying that things of mathematics and science always get my passion, and it's quite interesting. Lots of times those issues weave their way into other pieces of the state's legislative business, and I'm delighted to be able to bring those skills to those issues when they come up. I'm going to pick a single moment because I actually now clearly have what I feel was my proudest moment as a legislator. It was just about a year ago. We were facing the prospect that by the end of April last year, Chicago State University was going to close its doors, and probably by midsummer, Eastern and Western Illinois universities were probably going to be facing the same fate. And when they close their doors, it's hard to see how they open again. Through a conversation, I'm a Republican with Democratic Senator Pat McGuire that we had in mid-April on an unrelated matter. We got talking about things. And working with colleagues on both sides of the aisle in both chambers, was able to put together a package that 10 days after that first conversation, we had a bill signed by the governor that made sure all the universities stayed open through the fall of last year. So that was certainly my proudest moment, to put that together on short notice when we had that kind of crisis facing us. I'm going to keep it short, so I'm going to let it move on to our next speaker.
Thank you so much.
Hello. So, my name is Susan Garrett. I represented, I'm now retired for about 5 years. I ran for office in 1998. Maybe some of you weren't even born then. But it was a long time ago, and I served for about 14 years. in the Democratic House, as a Democrat in the House and then in the Senate. My story is really kind of unusual. I had defied the odds. I wasn't supposed to really run, and then I wasn't supposed to win. So I'm your poster child of somebody who sort of kind of eked in there in a sort of surprising way. My district was pretty much the North Shore, Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, a little bit of Waukegan, North Chicago. It was 70% Republican and 30% Democrat. And I got a call and somebody said, you know, would you be interested in running for office? And I said, I don't know, like, why me? And they said, well, you're a community activist, you're out there, you're doing lots of things, you'd be perfect. And I said, run as what? Because I was never partisan at the time. And they said, well, run as a Democrat, because all your issues are really sort of in that realm. So I said, okay, sounds great, because I love getting out and talking about issues and engaging people. Doesn't matter to me what party, I just think it's really great for people to be involved in the process and understand what's going on. So, long story short, I ran for office. Nobody thought I could win, and I have to tell you, I surprised myself. I knocked on doors every single day, never saw my family. I lost 10 pounds. I ended up, because I was the wrong person running in my district by the hierarchy, I couldn't get people to print my brochures, I couldn't get people to, you know, rent me space, to make it very difficult for me to run, but I found places to put my office and printers to print my materials, and election night came. We call it an election night party, not a victory party, because we didn't do polling, didn't have the money. It was a grassroots campaign, and we eked it out by about 1,500 votes. So then I stayed in office, and here I am today. So anyway, thanks.
So my name is John Miller, and I want to first off thank each and every one of you for being here. You could be doing a lot of other things today, but honestly, it's so gratifying to see you all here. Because you know what? Each and every one of you can make a difference. You know, sometimes you're sitting back there and you're thinking, you know, what can I do? Just here in college, you know, maybe this, maybe this. I'm telling you, you can make a difference. And so my story is similar to Susan's. I was somebody that decided to run because of a lot of friends and people pushing me. I used to be a police officer, and I was a police chief up in the city of Elmhurst, and decided if you want to run, do this, you know, because of all these people pushing. But I was told, really, I can't, because I'm really not a big party guy. I didn't go through, as they said, I didn't carry the water. I didn't do this, I didn't do that. So I did what Susan did, and I started knocking on doors and telling people who I was. And that's a lot of work, because there's so many people that you have to talk to. And I got through that, and I didn't know if I would win or if I'd lose, but on election night I won with about 70% of the vote. So I ran against the party and everybody else. It was I didn't know. I mean, I just didn't know. So when I got in there, I realized that we truly can make a difference. But it's such a busy time. It's busy, very busy in everything that we have to do. So as I'm sitting there trying to figure this all out, that's where I think my proudest moment, if you will, it's not a moment, it's moments. It's all about collaboration, you guys. It's about collaboration. There's people on two sides. You see it in the newspapers and on television. There's this side and that side. You're always fighting. And you know what? You don't have to. It's fact. I was able to walk across the aisle, as Susan did, and be able to accomplish things. I can't tell you how many bills I passed in the time I was there. It was because I was able to work with people. You know, somebody has a belief, it's over here. Another person's belief is just the opposite side over here. And you think there's no way they come together. But when you talk out those issues, you'll find common ground. The other thing quickly I'd like to share with you guys is that, you know, when you get on Facebook and some of these other things and you click these different areas of something you'd like to read and see, and kind of defines who you are in the political spectrum, what happens is they know that, and all of a sudden you're fed that information. And that's why when you talk to people who think differently than you, they go, God, how did they come up with that stupid idea? Because they read the stuff on their side all the time. My suggestion is try to do both. Try to read both. Now, right now, my job is I'm a lobbyist, a very popular position, as you know. So I'm a lobbyist. Polling numbers of lobbyists are like way down the gutter. But I'm advocating for people. I'm advocating for associations. I'm advocating for others. And what happens is, on my Facebook page and others, I get emails, I get stuff from both sides. So I get to read both sides. When I watch television, I'll watch MSNBC, I'll watch Fox News. I try to get it all because that way you can make good decisions. Don't be afraid to look at other people's ideas and thoughts. I have so much to say, I don't want to take these guys some time, but thank you so much for being here.
Hello, everybody. I'm Patricia Mantell, and my district is the 5th district, which runs from Cicero on the west end all the way down to Clark Street, and as far north as Webster, and as far south as 26th Street. So I have a very, very diverse district. I so often say jokingly that I have the Pritzkers in my district, and they own the Hyatts, and I have, and they're also always asking me, talking to us about they need more people to take the jobs they have. They have thousands of jobs, all of them. And then so the Pritzkers with all the thousands of jobs in my district, I also have Junebug and Bobo. They have 3 felonies and can't get a job, all in one district. So what happens is that I am forced to try to think about issues in 2 different ways and how to solve issues, how to weave common threads. I'm forced to do that. And I love it. That's what I got in here for, to try to figure out how to solve some problems. So that's why I'm here. So I'm just happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm glad to see so many of you all here interested in politics. I ran as an outsider as well. I did not have the Democratic Party behind me. I ran because I was sick and tired. The silence had gotten so loud to me about what we were suffering, the things we were enduring, going through. There was just silence shrouding it. I mean, the very things that meant the most to us, like being able to come home, get out of my car and walk in my house without being shot, being able to send my son or my daughter to the neighborhood school, being able to get a job, all those things were people around me were suffering significantly because of the violence, the poor academic achievement in the schools, and as far as the lack of jobs. And there was nobody talking about that. That was running. So I ran, first of all, I ran for mayor. I ran for mayor for the city of Chicago, and back when Ron won, we all ran, and I did not run against Ron, it was an open seat. Everybody always said, you ran against Rahm Emanuel, you're crazy. No. We all ran for open seat. And I ran because it was just too silent. I mean, how are you going to talk about this is a world-class city with all these, you can't walk down the street. I mean, I get out of my car, I got to run to my door with my key in my hand, because of the violence and the poor schools. So, poor academic achievement in the schools and the lack of jobs. So that's the reason why I ran. And like Susan and John, I went door by door, knocking on doors. I was in the McDonald's line. The people was waiting to get their food. They couldn't leave. They was in line. I talked to them. I told them why I was running, And then I want to carry the voice of the ordinary person into government. And I would be at the schools. I was in dog parks, and I don't even like dogs. I was there, because I wanted to talk to as many people as possible and explain to them who I am and why I'm running. And I took my own money and ran. It cost me a lot of money, but I just couldn't live another day without saying something. Because after a while, you just have to let it, I was getting sick inside, trying to push the stuff back down. You keep wanting to speak out about something, but what are you going to do? Go and stand in the middle of the street and shout in the street? You can't do that. So people think you're crazy. So they push it back in, and that was making me sick. So finally I said, that's it, I'm running. And everybody told me I was crazy, but I won by 8 points. I beat a person who had been in office in the same area for 12 years. I ran against her and won. So what I'm saying to you today is that you can win, but you have to be willing to fight for what you believe in, and you got to have passion. Because you don't have passion, you knock on somebody's door, they're going to know it. You got to make them feel what you're feeling and make sure they understand that you know what they're going through. So my proudest moment was when I was able to actually speak up one day in the chamber when one of the leaders was trying to push this bill that I thought made absolutely no sense. It said that if a person was 17 years old or older and they stole a catalytic converter off of a car, they would have to spend mandatorily a year in jail. To me, that was stupid. Because first of all, you get a catalytic converter for $200. You put somebody in prison, you're going to pay $30,000 to keep them there. So that didn't make any sense to me. Why would I spend, and I still got to go home and pay for my catalytic converter? I said, no, that doesn't make sense. Make him pay for my catalytic converter. That's what I want. I don't want to spend all this money that he's in a revolving door going around and around in prison. His kids, we got to raise his kids too. Because you can't raise his kids because he's in prison, right? We got to find better ways of dealing with the problems we have. And I spoke up about it, I fought, and I got Republicans to join me in the fight. And we almost stopped that bill completely. It passed by one vote. Then I went over to the House, and I told the House, look, this bill is coming, and they blocked it in the House. And it never made it to see the light of day, so that was fantastic. That was my proudest moment. And my most challenging moments are continuous because, this is like, I'm like a vegetarian in a sausage making family. It just stinks how you have to make deals. I passed a bill that said if a child is 14 or 15 years old, 13 or 14 years old, they have to have a lawyer present if they're being interrogated for murder or for a sex offense. To me, that's like common sense. Okay, I was trying to get 17, 18, 17, 16, under 17 and under. I couldn't get that. I could only get up to 14. 15. 15 is the cutoff. With 15, you don't get it, you don't have to have a lawyer present, which means you're going to end up being interrogated by people who are using all kinds of tactics against you, and you're just a kid, right? And you don't know any better. So you end up spending a lot of time in prison as a result. I fought for 17. And the day that it passed, we passed up to 15. And I tell you, I wept on the floor. And I told them, I said, this is hope deferred. And hope deferred makes the heart sick. I said, even though I'm passing this bill today, my heart is sick. Because of the number of people that are out there that still, kids that are out there that still will end up suffering as a result of not having representation when they're being interrogated for a major crime. So, with that, I'm going to just tell you my committees, which are up on the screen, right? Good, so you ought to read those.
Thank you very much, Senator. Questions for Representative Mitchell. Just your name, your district, your committees that you serve on, where you're most passionate about your work, and your proudest and most challenging moments as a state legislator. We're going to move to Representative Turner.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Hi. Hello. You can't put a microphone in front of a bunch of politicians and tell them not to take their time and whatnot, because we're obviously very passionate about what we do here, as you can see by Senator Van Pelt and all the others who spoke about issues that are important to them. My name is Artie Turner. I'm in the 9th district. We're all sitting in the 9th district right now. It picks up UIC, going west from here, portions of the west side of Chicago, North Lawndale in particular. And we run all the way back east to Wells, and as far north as Armitage in some areas of the district, between Halstead and Wells. So it's a very, 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 very diverse district. I serve with Senator Van Pelt in her Senate district. I'm one of the districts within her Senate district. So I'm very happy to serve here. I think my committees are listed on the screen, but they've changed and moved around a lot. I started out on a couple of appropriations committees, consumer protection, judiciary, and other things like that. I'm still on the executive committee, rules, insurance, consumer pro, taxes, revenue and finance, rules. It's an important committee. And I've been serving since 2010. I ran for office straight out of law school and came in and was elected at 27, and I currently serve as the Deputy Majority Leader for the House of Representatives. I'm very passionate about criminal justice issues, especially criminal justice reform, which is a pretty big topic right now because it's something that the governor is also focused on, with wanting to reduce our prison population by about 25%. And I've lately made a shift to data privacy and cybersecurity, just because of the times and where we're moving around technology and how it's such a huge, huge issue. And I don't think people realize how much their data is being collected, what's being collected on them, who it's being sold to, how those third parties are using that information, and how it's shaping so many different things, and how things are, catered towards you in your life. And I just think it's important for the public to know that. So that's something that I've been focusing on this year, and something that I'm very passionate about. My proudest moment was probably being elected at 27 and having the opportunity to serve my community in the neighborhood which I was born and raised in. Was huge for me, and until this guy over here showed up, I had been one of the youngest in Illinois to ever be elected. So that was probably one of my proudest moments. Some of my greatest challenges have been around trying to pass some of the legislation that I'm passionate about, and things that seem common sense to me are tough in a different lens, especially when you're viewing it through a political lens in Springfield. And in turbulent times like we're experiencing right now, where the partisan line is in the sand, it becomes even more difficult to have the necessary negotiations to provide, to pass substantive legislation that would have a real impact back home. Our approach to criminal justice prior to me showing up, well, it's not like I showed up and changed everything, but for years has been to lock them up, throw away the key, And this has left our communities with so many, just been disastrous to so many generations of families. And so now we're trying to turn that around right now, but making it and presenting it in a sort of way that is palatable for other legislators who represent different communities to go back home and explain why they supported what we're trying to do in Springfield. It's been a bit of a challenge, but luckily we've been able to pass some pretty good legislation and work together and get over the hump in many cases. So that's it for me. Happy to be here. Thank you so much. I'm glad that.
Thanks so much.
All right, well, I am State Representative Christian Mitchell, 26th District, southeast side of Chicago, so I go from Girton, Dearborn, and River North, all the way down to 92nd Exchange. So, as one of my former colleagues put it, from the Gold Coast to the Soul Coast. So I ran for office because I wasn't talented enough to be a singer or an Air Force pilot. I'll be pretty brief and tell you just a little bit about myself and the issues I'm most passionate about. So I actually, honestly, those things aside, ran for office because I still believe in government. And I'm very proud to say that in an era where people will say that government's the problem, needs to get out of the way, etc. I believe in government. I believe it is the biggest enterprise in which we enter with each other. I think giving up on it means giving up on ourselves. I think that the problems that we face of war and peace, of trying to fix our environment, of trying to put people back to work who have been historically kept away from work, that being generally the African Americans, Hispanics, women, folks who are rural and poor, many of whom are white, that those challenges require collectivism, that those challenges require that we do them together. And as someone who grew up the only child of a single mom and who sort of dealt with some real hardships himself growing up, caring for two sick grandparents, many of the things that we talk about as politicians have affected me directly, whether it's healthcare, trying to care for an aging grandparent, dealing with violence, growing up in Maywood. Art and I've actually known each other since we were about 10 years old, and sort of grew up as old family friends. So the issues that I'm most passionate about come directly out of the issues that I've seen in my own life, making sure that people have affordable and decent health care, that they're not concerned about getting shot walking to and from school, that they have a great school in walking distance of their home, that they have a college that they can afford, and that you don't have to be rich to get a college education. So those are the issues that I work the most on. My committees, I'm sure, are up on the screen. I chair a committee on economic opportunity, which I deliberately named after Lyndon Johnson's office from the War on Poverty. My minority spokesperson, Mike Fordner, is around here somewhere. Oh, there he is. Okay, good. Good to see down the line. So I'll do the two quick things. My proudest moment as a legislator was probably either passing Medicaid expansion or passing marriage equality. I was the first African-American co-sponsor on marriage equality. I was proud to do it, even though it was a difficult vote for my district. My most challenging moment was probably, I've had 3 very difficult election campaigns, which we can totally talk about here, and one of which was because I voted for pension reform. So that was probably the toughest moment of my career, but extraordinarily happy to be here. Higher education is, again, one of my passions. I would not be sitting where I was without the college education that I received. I want to make sure that that remains accessible, not just for Bruce Rauner's kids, but for all of you and for the kids that I eventually hope to have. So great to be here. Thanks so much.
Okay, so now we're going to have the state legislators. Please move to the table with your assigned name.